Good evening, Professor.
What's going on? There was a problem?
I
Hold
had a
on,
little
hold on.
trouble signing on.
Yeah, some people did. Some people had a lot of problems getting in. I just made it available. I don't know what happened. Okay, they're coming on now. I just sent an email. Hold on a sec. Give me a few minutes till we get more people in. Okay. And there we go. We're getting on. Okay. Let's review the homework. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Okay. So in this situation, we're going to calculate the um, the effects of the rebate and if it's a good idea or if it's a bad idea. Now, I want everyone to know that it's not always, the numbers can be different on my lab, and keep that in mind, right? So if you look at this problem, what happens is that they have lowered the price from 30,700 to 28,700. So it's $2,000 that the rebate is offering. The cost of the rebate is $2,000 times the amount of cars that they usually sell, which is 40,700. So this 2,000 times this 40,700 gives you this 81.4. Now, they want to calculate what the amount of additional cars that they sold and at the profit margin. So the difference between 40,700 and 54,500 times the amount of profit, right? The profit margin gives you this amount. So the rebate did not generate more money than it was offering. So it was a bad idea. Now, there are times that the rebate is going to be a good idea because it's more than the cost of the rebate. So that's when you know it's a better idea, right? Because it's more than this, right? It generated more profit. Now, in in real life, most dealerships don't keep things going for that long, right? Usually promotions in dealerships are done on a monthly basis. So if this happens, they don't bleed for a whole year. They're not going to bleed for a whole year. They're just going to bleed for, they'll lose money for a month and then they'll regroup and try something else other than rebate. It might be a cash reward back or low financing fee based on your credit ratings. Whatever it is, that's how they generate money, right? They have it on a monthly basis because if it's not working, they don't want to keep it going for a year. So that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Now, this calculation is someone had posed a question to me saying that, well, it says that you're an international and shrimp trader. Okay. This is a finance class, and I teach it as a finance class. If someone's a trader, an international shrimp trader, that doesn't mean he gets to keep that shrimp and he keeps it at home. That's not what happens, right? He gets the shrimp and yes, exactly, exactly. He gets the shrimp and he moves it. He moves it, right? And they sell it to Olive Garden, the Price Club, or any one of these. I can't see those. If you want to say, I'm dying of laughter. Okay. So what happens is that it has to be moved. You know, whether it's tires, whether it's coats, ladies' shoes, ladies' handbags. Once you're a trader, especially guys who deal in commodities, right? Once they get it, if it's coffee, whatever it is, they move it. They move it. So when they're selling him things and they're using their own currencies and they're moving their own currencies, we have to convert it into ours. We have to convert it into our currency. Then we see how much profit we've made. So the way you do that is that you divide currency by rate. Now, you're going to be doing this. Let's say you travel to Europe and the exchange rate for euro is 84 cents, and you're buying something that's 400 euros. You want to convert it into dollars, right? You do the same formula. The currency that you're going to buy in, and then the exchange rate. This represents the dollar equivalent. This 25.66 is equal to $1, right? Let's say American dollar. Here in the formula, they say Canadian, but we're going to assume it's an American dollar. Same thing here. This 40.59 is equivalent to $1 American. This is why 2.8 million comes to 69,982, because the conversion rate is at 40.59, right? That's why. You're traveling to Europe. That's why I tell you this class teaches you all these things. You're traveling to Europe, and on a personal note, and you go in and it's Polish lattes or whatever it is, or Swiss francs, things that are still around, or British pound, right? You find out what the exchange rate is to the equivalent to the American dollar, right? Once you do that, you say currency, whatever the price is. If it's a $500 bag or $2,000 suit or $300 pairs of shoes that you like, you say in that currency, it says euro, 300 euros, and then you divide it by the equivalent of the exchange rate of the dollar. And you'll be able to convert it to see how much it's costing you in American dollars. And this is exactly what you're doing right here, right? Sometimes it's better to buy things with your credit card because it's actually using the currency rate for that day. They might sometimes have a currency rate for that day when you're using your credit card. They lock into a price or an exchange rate, right? They lock into it, right? Sometimes when you go into a store and you're using cash, those guys play games because they know you don't know any better. They might charge you a little extra, right? If you don't know the exchange rate, or they say, oh no, it's not changing at that rate. It's a little higher today. So they get you for more money. But this is what's going on here, right? He gets it, he moves it to one buyer, right? He gets it, he moves it to another buyer. And between the two transactions, he's made $20,651.16. That's what a trader's supposed to do. A trader's supposed to make money on deals, right? That's what I mean by this. Now, if you're trading, let's say this guy is trading internet shrimp. He might be doing this all day, or any type of seafood. He might be doing this all day. He's an international shrimp trader, but he also trades in salmon. He also trades in whiting. He also trades in cod, shark, lobster, all kinds of different seafoods, right? He doesn't regulate himself only to shrimp. And other things might come across his desk. When I say across his desk, meaning for trading over the phone, right? Or on his PC, he sees it and he does a movement. And they want to do this deal as quickly as possible, right? They lock into a rate because this changes throughout the day. This changes throughout the day in your favor or their favor. Because if it goes up, it's in their favor. It goes down, it's in your favor, right? So always keep these things in mind when you guys are trading, when you guys get into the real world. And some of you are going to become traders. I guarantee that. Some of you will be traders. Some of you will be working at some of these institutions. You know, whether it's Goldman Sachs, whether it's Citibank, JP Morgan, HSBC, Deutsche Bank, Swiss Bank, whatever the bank may be, Banco de Popular, whatever the bank may be, right? Whatever the bank may be. Nothing changes as far as these concepts. Nothing changes. It stays the same, right? Everybody's speaking the same language, right? In finance. You don't make up your own rules, this and that. There's a discipline and we follow it, right? Currency divided by rate. This is the rate of exchange. This is the dollar equivalent. That's how we do the deal. All right, let's move on. Now, one of the things that you're going to see also in your in your world is you make investments. You're going to be lending money, right? Excuse me. You're going to be lending money. And when you lend money to firms or whatever it is, right? This is telling you how much you can borrow today. This is speaking on an individual basis. Now, let's say this was a company and this was 8 million or 80 million, right? This would be 76 million. 8 million, this would be 7.6 million, right? So you go in, tell your boss, he or she, that we have a deal going on and we're going to lend someone 7,692,000 or 76 million. And in the interim, 1 year from now, they're going to give us back 80 million or $8 million. That's the way to look at it as far as a business transaction. This is individual. This is individual. This, what I just told you, is someone coming in to your firm and they're speaking to you and they want to borrow 8 million. They want to borrow $8 million, right? And you're going, they want to borrow $76 million and they're going to pay you back 80 million in a year. That's the way to look at it when you're talking as far as business is concerned. They come in, they want to borrow 7,692,000, and then they're going to give us back $8 million. When you go to your boss, to he or she, and you say, okay, we have a bank or a person or an institution that wants to borrow money from us, right? You check their credit. That's why I tell you it's always good to go as an analyst because you do your due diligence. You're not going to hand anybody money like that. Doesn't happen that way, right? What are they going to give us as collateral in case of default on the loan? Are they credit worthy? You do your due diligence before you hand over that kind of money. And the same thing happens when it's an individual that walks into a bank that wants to borrow money, and he claims he's saying that he's going to have $8,000 in 1 year. How much can he borrow today? Right? Same thing. The person that's borrowing the money is going to invest it. It's going to do something with it, right? And they're going to pay back. And if they don't make it back, if something happens, you have collateral. And with $8,000, it's a little different. It goes into collection, this and that. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about real money, right? That's what this class is about. The reason why we use smaller numbers is to make it much easier for you to understand, right? But in the real world, you guys are working in an institution that's dealing with money. $8,000 is peanuts. That's like interest on something that's, you don't even worry about $8,000, right? In the scheme of things, right? When we're dealing with like 80 million, 90 million, this and that, those are like crazy numbers. But those are the kind of numbers you're going to work with, right? This is a great deal. You go in and you say, okay, we're going to get 4% interest and we're going to lend this individual $76 million. And in 1 year, he's going to give us $80 million back. So we're definitely adding value to the company. This is a great deal. And also at 4% in today's market, today's world, that's very good. Okay, now these are exercises that we do to make us get familiarized with the calculator, right? We want to familiarize ourselves with the calculator, right? And anytime you have future value, anytime you have future value, whatever the amount is, especially if you have a discount rate, an interest, right? If someone says, what's the future value of $4,000 and there's no discount rate in 1 year, it's $4,000. That's it, right? It might lose value due to inflation, but it's $4,000 for $4,000. However, if we put a discount rate, now there are two discount rates. There was something I forgot to mention. There are two discount rates. There is a discount rate that the Federal Reserve Bank lends, the rate that the Federal Reserve charges to banks when they come to the Federal Reserve to borrow money. That's known also as a discount rate. Okay, keep that under your hat. This is something I'm telling you, and you'll, when you do money in banking, that's something that might come up and you'll say, oh, I know that. Professor Michelle told me that, right? They have two rates. They have a Fed funds rate, which is that bank lends to other banks. And then they have a discount rate, which is what the Federal Reserve lends to bank, right? When you come in, you have a problem with, you need money, right? Banks need money all the time. And they can't borrow it from another bank because that bank, the interest is too high sometimes, especially when money's tight. So they go to the Fed to borrow money. The rate that the Fed charges them is known as the discount rate. In finance, you say the same thing with the rate that you're using to calculate. You say the discount rate. You say that also in finance, right? You say that. So a future value, whatever amount you're dealing with, right? The present value, which is today, right? The future value is always higher than the present value. I see this all the time on an exam. They say calculate the future value of 4,000. Someone will put 3,995 with a discount rate. That's not what you're calculating. You're calculating the present value of 4,000. Right? You have the money right here. You're calculating the future value. It has to be higher. It has to be higher than the number that you are calculating. In this situation, the 4 years at an interest rate of 7%, right? It comes down to 5,243, right? So the number of periods, n equals 4, right? Now, remember now, you put 4 and then n, but the way I'm explaining it is we're doing it numerically, right? So we say n equals 4, IY, which is the interest rate, is 7%. The reason why I keep bringing up payment as 0, because we're going to be using that function. So we have to get used to that function of payment, right? So function payment is 0. Present value, what you have in your hand right now, is $4,000. So that's what you put in PV, and then you compute for future value. Then you're going to come up with this amount. Same situation as I said before. If this was 40 million, or 400 million, and we want to lend it out for 4 years, right? At 7%, we will be getting back 524 million, 40 million, we'll be getting back 52 million, 4 million, we're getting back 5,243,000, right? The big numbers, the real numbers that we'll be dealing with if we work for a company. Now, the second part is the future value of 8,000 going in 8 years, right? At a rate of 7, interest rate of 7%, discount rate of 7%, right? So same principle, right? N equals 8, IY equals 7, right? Payment is 0. Present value is 4,000. and we compute for future value. And then we do the same thing here again. This is for 4 years, but the rate of 14%, right? So we say the future value of 4,000 in 4 years at 14%. N equals 4, IY equals 14, right? Payment is 0, present value is 4,000, and then we compute for future value. Now, I got a question the other day, and it says that they didn't understand this. They didn't understand this, right? The result, because it says, why is the amount of interest earned in Part A less than half the amount in Part B? They didn't understand this. Here's what happens. When you put money in the bank, it gets compound interest. Some of you know that, some of you heard me say that, and it's, oh, we get that. No. I'm telling you, those are the kind of things that during the exam you start to panic. And you say, well, did Professor Michelle say this or that? Right? So what happens is you put $1,000 in the bank at 10%. The year's over, you have $1,100 in the bank. Right? Now, the next time you leave the money in there, the next time the calculation is done on your interest that you'll be receiving, it's not done on $1,000. It's done on $1,100. So you're receiving interest on interest, and it compounds. So 1,100, 10% of that, whatever that comes out to, 10% times 1,100. Then the following year is 10% times whatever you got for the 1,100 times 10, and so on and so on. That's how it works. Right? That's how it works. Period. Okay. So whatever we're doing here, right? It says your cousin is currently 8 years old. She will be going to college in 10 years. Your aunt and uncle would like to have $100,000 in the savings account to fund her education at that time. If the account promised to pay a fixed interest rate of 4.3 per year, how much money do they need to put in the account today to ensure that they will have $100,000 in 10 years? So here's the situation. Now, you're working at a bank and someone comes up to you, and aunt and uncle or mom and dad, whomever it is, grandpa and grandma, and they say that they want to save. They have an 8-year-old and they want to save for her college. So when she turns 18, that they'll have $100,000 to pay for her college education. And they wanted to know how much money they need to put in the bank today, so that they will have $100,000 10 years from now, right? So we need to find the present value of $100,000, right? Going 10 years, right? 10 years from now. So we're going to say N equals 10, IY equals 4.3, payment is 0, future values 100,000, and then compute for present value. And then you come out to 65,638.24. And this formula can be used in just about anything that you want to do, right? anything for your retirement, for borrowing money. Uh, Sometimes you have firms that have money that they're not using and they want to put it somewhere, and you have another firm that has some projects that have things in research and development, right? For instance, if we had a small pharmaceutical company that wanted to make the vaccine for COVID, and we are JP Morgan. You are working at JP Morgan. Let me pick somebody. One of our Beta, is that your name?
Yeah,
Matia
Beta. Yeah.
Beta, right? Is working at uh, JP Morgan, and she likes the idea. She's been watching this company for a long time, and they are on their way to developing the vaccine also, but they're short of cash. They're short of cash, and they know that in 2 years or a year, whatever money they borrow, they'll be able to pay it back because they're going to come up with the vaccine. And we're sure about it because the FDA says they're almost there. They just need a little bit of funding. This is what will happen, but the years will be like 1 or 2 years. They need to borrow 100 million or something like that, or $10 million, and the collateral would be to sign over the company to Beta and Citigroup, whoever she works for, if they default on the loan. That happens every day. And Beta convinces her boss that they should do it. And they will. And they did. Right? And in 2 years from now, a year from now, they pay back the loan. Beta gets a huge bonus, right? A huge bonus bringing in that business. And that's how it works in the real world. In the real world, that's how it works. Right? Whatever it is, she gets 10% of that or 5%. And let's say they bring back 100 million, whatever it is, gets a $1 million bonus. That happens all the time on Wall Street, or 2 or 3 million. Okay. Now, you're planning to invest $4,000 in an account earning 6% per year for retirement. If you put 4,000 in the account at age 23 and withdraw it 34 years later, how much will you have? Okay, now we know the amount. And it's 34 years from now. That would be what your number of periods are, and your interest is going to be 6%, right? So N equals 34, IY equals 6, payment is 0, present value is 4,000, and then we compute for future value. And we come up with 29,004. And then the second one is if we wait 10 years, right? So which means that we went in at 33 and we did it 24, right? So we'll say N equals 24, IY equals 6%, right? Our payment is 0, present value is 4,000, and we compute for future value. And we come out to 16,195.74. Every day, things like that happen. And you can convert that into any way that you want in business. Keep in mind that a lot of you also in finance are going to be working with annuities and also perpetuities, mostly annuities, right? So when you work with annuities, you're going to, these are the kind of things that you're going to, excuse me? Someone said something?
We lost you. We can't see the screen.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, right, all right. This is basically a rating where you calculate the present values. These are good because they help you get good on the calculator. You gotta, be comfortable with the calculator. And these help you out a lot when you're doing these calculations for present value of 1 year, right? What we went over, n equals 1, IY equals 12, payment is 0, future value is 140, and then you compute for present value. And you do the same for 3 based on the amount of time. So n here is 1, n here is 5, and n here is 10. And it has the same IY. And you put in this as your future value. And then you make your rankings. Get comfortable with the calculator. And also, class, if it doesn't make sense to you, if it doesn't make sense, you're probably right. And keep an eye out for this right here. These things right here, round to the nearest cent, round to the nearest dollar, right? Keep an eye out for that. Because on the exam, if you put down the wrong amount, I am not the one checking it. It's done automatically by my lab. If it's wrong, it's wrong. I can't change that, right? If it was manually that I'm checking it, if you put 136 spot 16, I would give you credit for it. But I'm not the one checking it, right? I'm not the one checking it. My lab is doing it. So you put down the wrong thing, I can't do anything about that. I had a big thing 2 semesters ago with about 3 students who told me that I should, when this thing first happened, and he tells me, oh, we should change it because, I said, let me explain something to you about rounding. In the real world, if you're cutting corners, he said it doesn't matter. That's what he told me. 2 or 3 guys, people in the class. It doesn't matter. I said, rounding is a big deal. I said, if you have 0.003, and you're doing a $300 million deal, and you let that go, I believe that would be like 90,000. You won't be working there that long, for long. And God forbid you made that mistake quite a few times during the week, or you've been making that mistake just because you feel that it's no big deal. In business, everything counts. Everything counts. It might not be a big deal to you, right? But it's a big deal to the company, right? You say, oh, it's only 90. What? Are you kidding me? This is dealing with the present value. When you're dealing with present value, the amount that you're calculating is always less than the amount that you're calculating for. So $3,000 received, what is the present value received 24 years from now at 4%, right? It's going to be less. It can't be more. It cannot be more. It's always, always less. Always, always less than the amount you're trying to calculate, right? When you're doing present value. Sometimes one of the worst things is to understand that concept, right? Just hold on. Oh. One of the worst things is to understand that concept. Hold on, I moved up. Okay. Here, you might see this question again, right? When I say that, pay attention to it, right? You walk into the bank in 2017, let me make it even more recent. You walk into the bank 2019 and you gave the teller $1,100, right? 2019. 2020, you handed the teller an additional $600. How much do you have at the end of the year of 2021? Right? This amount, $1,100, you had for 2 years. This amount, $600, you had for 1 year. So this, you have to calculate the future value of this for 2 years. This, you calculate the future value for 1 year, and then you add them together, right? So it looks something like this. Well, we're going to use the calculator. So for this one, we're going to say N equals 2, IY equals 2.7, payment is 0, present value is 1,100, and then compute for future value. The second one, the $600, we're going to say N equals 1, IY equals 2.7, right? Payment is 0, and present value is 600, and then we compute for future value. Then we add them together, and you should come out with this number. So it looks something like this: future value of 2, future value of 1. But we use the calculator. Now just think, maybe a few years ago, without this calculator, you had to do these things just as you see them. Imagine the amount of mistakes that were made. Imagine the amount of mistakes. Wow. Here, the same thing. We need to calculate the present value of 100,000 going out 4 years. So if we're calculating the present value, it has to be lower than 100,000. because we need to know how much money we need to deposit in the bank today to have 100 grand in 4 years. So N is equal to 4. IY is equal to 3.5. Payment is 0. Future value is 100,000. And then we compute for present value. And that's what we need to do here. So it looks something like this. But this would be 1 plus 0.35 because you move the decimal point 2 places here. And then you add them together, you do the exponent, and then if you were doing it that way, then you do the 100,000 because you can't do 3.5%. You have to convert it into a decimal. Are there any questions before I continue? There's a couple of questions I saw in the quiz I wanted to look at, and I just wanted to, hold on one second. Whoops. Okay. There's a couple of questions that I did not go over with you. That's on the quiz. I want to show you. I want you to try them and tell me what you think. Your brother has offered to give you either $25,000 today or $50,000 in 8 years. If the interest rate is 7%, which option is preferable? All right, class, take over. And see, I'll give you 2 or 3 minutes to calculate this and tell me what you come out with and give me your answer.
Is it 42,954? Is to the nearest dollar?
42?
The 25,000, right? 25,000 in 8 years at 7%. Did I do it right?
No. No, I don't think so.
Oh, we look at the 50.
Yeah,
All right. I mean, I did the 25,000, so it's the other one.
yeah.
Okay.
But you know what? That was good, Kristen. That was a good guess. That's fine.
So we're finding the present value of 50,000.
Yeah, I read it the opposite way, I guess.
Right. That's fine. That's fine. That's why we're going over it. That's why we're going over it. So let's do this together. What would you do here?
I
So
would
let's do.
the future value?
No.
Present
You
value?
compute for present value,
Of.
The 50,000?
$50,000.
Yeah, try that.
20,100,
What'd you come out with?
29,100,
29?
29, yeah.
100, yeah, I got the same thing.
And then what is this? What's the answer here? Because it's higher today, right? It's higher than this one. And what would you do?
Right? Take the future amount.
So D.
Okay. Now, let Professor Michelle tell you something. If someone comes up to you and offers you $25,000 today and say to you, or 50,000 in 8 years, take the 25 because you don't know what can happen in 8 years, all right? Run. Take the $25,000 and run in real life, okay? You don't know what can happen in 8 years, right? That's how I see things, because a lot can happen. You know, your brother might change his mind. You guys might fight, not talk. Anything can happen, right? Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Hey, Dave. No, yeah, I tried my email. Which one? Reaching me how? By email or by Blackboard? Yeah, there's a problem. There was a conversion thing that happened, and I tried to follow it, and somehow I messed it up, so I gotta wait till tomorrow morning. But I sent out, I'm in a class right now. I don't have the Gmail. I'm having an issue with that. I sent out an email on Blackboard saying to reach me at the QCC email until I resolve this tomorrow with the help desk. I did that. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I will, Dave. Okay, let me just finish with this class. Okay, no problem. Okay, I will. Okay. All right, bye. I had to take that. That was the chairman. They've been having problems reaching me. One of the things I always say, right, you don't know what can happen in real life. So it's greater than the money being offered today. When we get to do net present value, this would be we're going to see problems like this, but in a different way. But in real life, take the money and run. All right? That's just my opinion. Okay. Okay, this is another one. Did we do this? We didn't see this on the homework, right? No.
No.
Okay. All right. So let's try this. Try this and let me know how you make out. I'm right. Okay?
Is it 6,000?
6,848.
Okay. Second one.
$148,779.
What did you get?
148,779.
Okay, last one. Yeah, we did this.
We did
We
this
did this.
class.
Huh?
We did do it last class. You did this.
Yeah, we did.
Yes, I
We
remember.
did. We did. Okay, yeah. Is it $1,000?
Yeah, it's $1,000.
Yeah. We did do this. Good. Good. We did do it. I wanted to be sure because I didn't want you guys to. Now, a lot of people, some people might not understand it. So let's go over it together. And then that way, some people might not want to, might not understand this. So let's go over this together. So your grandfather put some money in the bank for you, right? You're now 18 years old, and the account currently has $3,996. Now it says if you left the money, if you left the money until you are 25 years old, which is 7 years removed from 18, right? So you're going to say N equals 7, IY equals 8%, payment is 0, present value is 3,996, and you compute for future value, right? The second part is you say 18 minus 65, I believe that's 47, right? And N is going to equal the 47, right? IY is going to be 8%. Present value is going to be 3,996, and you compute for future value. Now the question is asked, how much did your grandpa put in the bank originally? So you need to find the present value of 3,996 going back 18 years. So N equals 18, IY equals 8%, right? Payment is 0, future value is 3,996, and then you compute for present value, right? You compute for present value. One of the things, and you get $1,000. One of the things that throws everybody off is this last part. This last part. Because you know what people say? People put in this amount right here, in here. That's what a lot of people do doing the test. I've seen that many times. They put in this amount, or they take the future value of 3,000. Yes? I can't hear that. What did you say? Hold on. My mic isn't working?
I can hear you.
Can you guys hear me?
We
She's
can
saying
hear you.
that
What
her mic wasn't
Sabrina
working.
is saying that her mic isn't working. Can you please go back to the previous question? Was the answer C or D?
The previous question. This right here?
Yeah, that one.
The answer is D. Okay, hold on. Okay, yeah, okay. Okay, all right. So Sabrina, the reason why you take the future amount, because it's greater than the amount of today, right? Also, the present value of the 50,000. So what this is saying, in essence, if you were to put $25,000 in the bank, right, and you waited 8 years at 7%, it wouldn't add up to 50 grand. However, if you got the 29,100 and you put it in for 8 years, you would get 50,000. So what it's saying is that the value that your brother is giving you is greater, the 50,000. The present value of 50 grand is greater than the 25,000 he's giving you today. Do you understand that? Okay, good. Good. A lot of times, one of the things that throws people off is that between future and present, that throws a lot of people off. Throws a lot of people off. Okay. I wanted to show. I can't hear. Sabrina has something to say?
I was going to say, can we see number 11?
No. Why do you want to see number 11?
Because that one looked different.
Number 11? Which one? This one?
Can't see it.
Oh, I'm sorry. This?
Yeah.
You can do this. I'm not showing you that. You can do that. Think about it. You'll be able to do it. You can do this. All right. I wanted to get a little glimpse of what we have in store for us coming up. And hold on. So this is where our calculator is going to be coming in. This is where it says you have a loan outstanding. It requires 6 annual payments of 1,000 each. At the end of the next 6 years, your bank has offered to allow you to skip making the next payments in lieu of making one large payment at the end of the loan term in 6 years. If the interest rate is 10%, what final payment will the bank require you to make so that it's indifferent to the two forms of payment, right? This is where payment comes in. This is where payment comes in. And I'll give you a little sneak preview with the calculator. This is where payment is going to come in. All right. I have assigned the quiz for Monday. I'm sorry, for today, and it's due on Tuesday. And once we finish with chapter 5, quiz 5, we will have our midterm. Our midterm, let me make sure you guys can see me while I'm talking. My screen just froze.
We can see you.
Oh,
You're
okay,
moving.
good. No, okay, no, my screen froze. Our midterm will consist of questions from the quiz. The numbers are going to be different, but it'll be questions from the quiz. And I'm debating whether we should have 25 or 30 questions. But 25 is going to be the correct number. Now, what I'm going to do is pick 5 or 4 from each chapter, right? And they're going to be questions that you've seen, that you know, right? And then what's going to happen is, what I was going to say, it's questions that you've seen, and then I would advise, as even though I know some of you say, "Oh, I know it; it's no big deal." When you're driving on your own, and we're not supporting one another as the class, it can get pretty challenging. I just want you to know that. I really want you to know that. So, that's what the test is going to be. And we're going to have some challenging questions coming up, right? It gets a little more challenging as time moves on, right? And you have to know how to use the calculator, and it's a little pressure there. So that's why I want everybody to get used to using the calculator. All right? Some of you will do well. Some of you can do better than others. My advice is to have your little formula sheet. I don't want to use that word cheat sheet, but have your little formula sheet there, and you go by that, and do not panic. Take your time, go over it. Even if you say, "Wow, Professor Michelle, we've done this already." "Oh, I don't want to hear it." I'm telling you, it's to your benefit, because it's like listening to a song. After a while, you know the words, you know what's going to come next, what words are going. All right? All right, yes, Stephen.
I just have 2 questions. So just the first one, how long is the quiz going to be, like time-wise? And then do you have a date for the quiz? I mean, not the quiz, the midterm, I'm sorry.
I don't have a date yet. I'm going to give on 90 minutes, an hour and 30, I believe. An hour and 20 minutes? Wait, what's 90? An hour or 60 and 30, 120, 120 minutes for the midterm. I can't give more than that, right? 90 minutes. Okay? What's the other question, Steve?
Just the date, but you said that you don't know yet.
I don't know yet. But once we finish with 5, we'll do our review. We'll go over the quizzes again. And I'm going to give you a little hint about Professor Michelle. If you see me not going over it, don't worry about it. You got that?
Sounds
How's
good.
that?
Sounds good.
Yeah. Right? If you don't see me going over it, Soel has it. Go ahead, Soel.
Hi, Professor.
Good evening, my friend. How are you, Soel?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. What's going on?
I have a question regarding in case of any emergency, in case of any emergency, how I can reach out to you, because the email which you have given to me in the last class, the email was not going.
Yeah,
And
there's a problem. I said that at the beginning of the class. I said that if you want to reach me, I sent out a mail. You should have received it through Blackboard. It says you can reach me from my QCC, which is my Queensborough Community College email. You can use that to reach me.
yes, no, I read that email, but
Okay,
in the
use that.
in the
Use
normal
that for
course,
that.
like now, like I can reach out to you on this email.
Yes.
Okay, all right, okay, thank you.
All right. On that note, have a great evening and a great weekend, and I'll see you in a second, and we will start on chapter 4. We'll review the quiz questions that we have a little problem with. I'll see you then. All right, have a great weekend. Okay,
Thanks for
bye-bye,
having a good
everybody.
weekend.
Very
Thanks,
welcome.
Professor. Have a good weekend.
All right, bye-bye. Yes, Aisha.
Professor, I have a question.
Okay.
In the last class, I actually requested you to open homework 2 and quiz number 2,
I didn't do it?
but you only opened the homework. I don't see quiz number 2.
Hold on one second. I did open it, Aisha. I gave it to you from 223 to 225. I did open it. The quiz.
But I don't see the quiz number 2. I did the homework number 2, and I also sent you an email, but there was
No,
something.
I did open the quiz for you. You didn't do it.
Professor, I did not get the quiz. Actually, I only got the homework.
All right, tell me. I'm going to give it to tomorrow, Friday. I opened it today. All right, tell me if you see it now.
Okay, I will check it.
Right
Thank-
now, I'm staying on.
Okay, I will just check it one more time. I still don't see it. I see chapter 3 quiz, but I don't see chapter 2 quiz.
I find that very hard. I just did it. Refresh your screen.
I don't know what's wrong. I refreshed the screen, but it's not.
Aisha Hashan, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I just did it. Here, let me show you something.
Okay.
You see your grade here? You see your this is you, right?
Yes, yes.
And you see that, let me show you something. I just extended it. See, today's 226.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you see that it's extended here? Same
Yes.
setting. And it's available to you. And I also did the homework. So I don't know what happened. Do me a favor. They won't allow me. Go call, there's a helpline for Pearson. Give them a call and say you can't see it.
Okay.
And it's open. Your professor opened it. Okay?
Okay, I will call them. Okay. Thank you so much, Professor.
You're very welcome. Bye-bye.